This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Welcome back. This is Boomer Life on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton, and with us today is Maria Howard, the CEO of the Alzheimer's Society of British Columbia, and we're talking about the journey of dementia. I'm very pleased to welcome another guest. This is David Brown. He's from Vancouver. Well, he's originally from Toronto, I've just found out.
True.
He's been in Vancouver for many years. David was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in August of 2013. He's here to talk a little bit about himself and his experience with the support services from the Alzheimer's Society of BC through the Vancouver Resource Centre. He has also been an inspired volunteer on the Alzheimer's Society BC Board of Directors. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my life has mostly been about counseling troubled people. Now I'm one of the troubled people, I guess you could say. It was about getting up to 2 years ago that I received this diagnosis. And I remember walking home from that meeting in a complete fog of fear and anger and denial, shouting back and forth in my mind between this can't be true and God help me. Thanks to FirstLink, my wife and I, Marianne, were contacted by the Society, and it was a relief from a sense of real isolation and something that I wasn't sure I wanted to talk to a lot of people about it. So it was very reassuring to go and meet with people who were having the same experience, and some of them who had been living it for a long time.
So David, can I actually just back you up a wee little bit?
Sure.
Up until this point, so the diagnosis, was this given from a doctor?
Yep.
Okay.
From a doctor, my doctor, and then a specialist who had no trouble convincing me. She was very sure.
Prior to this,
yep.
Tell me what was happening in your life that might have even made you think that this was happening to you.
No, that didn't happen. I did realize that my memory was not very good. But in sort of in time now situations, everything seemed to go along okay. It did. I think Marianne, my wife, brought it up a few times. That, hey, I think you just went off track or something like that.
So she's probably the one that noticed first.
She's the one that noticed, and our general practitioner, who is a woman I have great confidence in, said we really need to go further and get some examination done.
So up until this point in your life, you'd basically been living a normal retired life and enjoying travel and friends and family and just carrying on without a care.
Getting the results of the examination process, which is a little bit complicated, but certainly believable. I was really, how can this be? I guess I was absolutely broken, and I think I had a distorted idea too about how quickly I was going to lose all my capacities that I value. So it was very difficult. I've written here, thinking back on that day, as I was walking home on a perfectly beautiful sunny day. How can this possibly be? And who do I share this with, and when, if ever? I mean, I was very, very distressed.
You had a lot of questions going through your mind.
I had a lot of questions.
Was your wife with you at the time?
No, she wasn't.
So
for this, it was a kind of drawn-out examination with the specialist, and she has a job to do. So I went home and discussed this with her right away. Neither one of us really understood much about the dimensions of this and what we might have to think about in terms of, well, how quickly is this going to advance and that sort of thing. I might say that's one of the first things I appreciated in going to the Alzheimer's Society. And something I must mention is they phoned me. And I knew my doctor said they will phone you, I will phone them, and they will phone you. And about, I don't know, a week or two later, they called and said, would you like to come over and talk with someone here? This was a blessing. I really wanted to talk to someone and learn more about, well, where is this going and at what pace and so on.
As Maria had mentioned, it's quite overwhelming, and there's a lot of information to absorb when you first get that diagnosis.
Yeah, there's a lot of information to absorb, and then it's pretty easy to not understand that you still probably got quite a bit of time ahead of you that in which you can lead your life pretty successfully and with pleasure. However, I do now, about a year and a half in, don't count on me to remember too well, because it just doesn't happen. When we just got back from a cruise and we do other things that are, much fun and delight to do, and I've gotten to the place where I make notes about some of the key things so I can go back and read it and remember without bugging my poor wife about everything. Now, was that really a boat we were on? That sort of thing. I want to talk a little bit about getting to the Alzheimer's Society, and I think a very important blessing was they phoned us. I don't know if I would have phoned them, and I was only about 2 weeks after I got the diagnosis. So that it was really a great thing to go there to talk to someone who understood what this was all about, who listened carefully to us, and from that went on to a group that meets a couple of times a month.
Do you still meet with those groups? Do you
I
still
do.
participate in some of the programs and services that they offer?
Yeah, I keep attending the twice a month group. It's either bi-weekly or twice a month. I can't remember exactly how that works. But
and do you find it helpful?
I find it helpful. I really found it so helpful at the beginning to sit in a room. It's full of people who have Alzheimer's disease, and you can talk about your experience, and they get it, or they know what that you need to clarify a little bit more for them to understand. It's very helping, very, it helps your heart, I would say.
Comforting.
It's comforting, thank you, yes, that. So that's been my key sort of support. Well, I need to mention Marianne again. She's been a wonderful, loving, and patient person in my life. So that is certainly support. But it's a wonderful thing to go and sit down with people who are having something of the experience that you are having. Everybody's a little bit different. And it's just, we sort of sit down and talk and kind of help one another on. And it's very valuable to me.
Excellent. So you don't feel alone.
Exactly. I think that's a very big part of it. And, I've met people in that group who I have the greatest admiration for, and their leadership and what they've done with their lives within the reality of this diagnosis. They're carrying on and doing a lot of interesting and what's the word I'm looking for? Creative things.
So a year and a half ago was when you received your diagnosis of Alzheimer's. You've worked your way through the fog and the mud. You found the First Link program with the Alzheimer's Society of BC. How else has this changed your life?
Well, it's made it a lot easier for me to talk to whoever wants to hear how am I doing. I feel pretty relaxed about it. This is just happening, and I have lots of friends now who have this condition, and I feel comfortable about it. It's changed my life also in, well, I guess just the whole sense of despair I had at the outcome has been set aside. I'm very fortunate. I mean, I'm not a young man, and I've had a lot of very good years in my life. It helps to live with this if you meet and know people who are walking down the same road.
So I'll bring Maria Howard back into the conversation, the CEO of the Alzheimer's Society. Maria, is this a story that you hear quite often from people that have been participating in First Link?
It is a very common story, and I think David has said it really well. Because at the beginning it is just overwhelming, and despair, I think, is a really accurate word that he's used. But by meeting people who, understand those feelings without really having to describe them to them, and then, as David said, hearing some amazing stories of people who have gone on to continue to be, doing productive things and having a great quality of life, really does give people hope to continue to move forward. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really important understanding that, as David said, just because you get the diagnosis doesn't mean suddenly everything just crashes in and falls apart so instantly.
Yeah, life doesn't end that day. David, what advice would you pass along to others who might be in similar shoes as yours?
Get to the Alzheimer's Society as soon as you can, I think would be a very important step. I can understand how people might not want to talk about this, and they might keep it in their family, but it would put quite a burden on the family to keep this a secret, with all of us, only with us, because there are things that come up. You want to talk to somebody else about it, it's wonderful if your family can really still be with you, because they know there's something going on and they're willing to listen and work with it. Mm-hmm.
And you didn't have any other signs of Alzheimer's in your family, in your genetics, did you?
No, this came as a complete surprise.
So didn't you find, one quick last question before we wrap this up, this segment, but did you not find as soon as you started talking about it that a bit of the healing might have started for you, and that it's really not that much of a secret? So many other people are affected by this.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I think it made a big difference going to the society and talking with people, and we're all in the same or similar positions and working on it. It makes it a lot easier to talk to anybody you know. I've got as far as, anybody that spends even a little bit of time with me, sooner or later I have to say, oh, sorry, I don't remember that. Can you fill me in, because I don't remember that.
I notice that you're not wearing the sign around your neck that we have seen with other Alzheimer's patients that's saying, have patience with me. My name is so-and-so and I have Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah, I'm going to get one today.
You're not there yet. David Brown has been our special guest this hour. Thank you very much for being here and sharing your very personal story.
Thank you for the opportunity.
David has Alzheimer's disease. He was diagnosed less than 2 years ago. Coming up next on Boomer Life, as we continue the conversation about the journey of dementia, we're going to learn more about the services that the Society offers, just like First Link, and we will meet the manager of programs and services, Michelle McCabe. That's next on CL 650.
Canada's only weekly radio show dedicated to the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.